Superpowers, the podcast for those questioning the role of alcohol in their lives and choosing clarity over conditioning. I'm your host, Jennifer Reed. We're talking truth, transformation, and what it really takes to reclaim your power. Let's dive in.
My name is Paula Devine. I am located in South Florida. I am the founder of the Happiest Hour, which is Concierge sobriety practice for women questioning their relationship with alcohol. So women come to me when they're struggling, I had created this group about 3 years ago, really under the radar. It was very private. It was all by word of mouth, and women were coming to me. They had heard about me through a friend. And they were coming to me and asking me how they could get sober, and they were looking for support. And I would include them in our groups. And in doing so, I was seeing that a lot of women were getting sober and staying sober through the support, the tools that we offered. And I got certified and I opened my own little office. And so you can come to me privately. Very highly confidential coaching is available. And then also there's a community of women. So it's all in person. I do offer Zoom remote coaching as well.
Awesome. So what led you to do this? What brought you to coaching and having this group?
So I've had a very long relationship with alcohol, going back to, gosh, probably high school. And at one point, I even sold alcohol for a living. I was in the liquor business.
Okay.
And then through motherhood and, alcohol was always really a big part of my life. And it was really how we socialized, how we connected. And I really had not, it really was not so much really a bad thing in my life for a long time until the last few years. It was starting to take a toll on me and how I was showing up as a mom. My kids were making comments and my hangovers were getting really bad. And so it was through that I finally, after questioning my relationship and realizing that it was really not serving me in the way that I wanted it to, that I got rid of it.
Okay. And how did you did you do AA? Did you do another coaching program, or how did you, and what was the track? And I asked this because, 7 years for me, and I've heard, you've heard of spontaneous, or a few years here and there. So when did you okay, I need to do something, and what did you do to stop?
So I was just thinking this morning, it was really more of like a slow burn than really us
Uh-huh.
lighting my life on fire. And the day that really the turning point for me was waking up. I had a horrific hangover. I had said things to my kids that I would have never said. It just
Mhm.
wasn't who I was anymore. So basically, what I realized was that staying the same and to keep doing what I was doing became far heavier than the fear I had in making the change, because I had been so afraid to give up alcohol. And I
Mhm.
tried really hard to keep it in my life
Mhm.
for, longer than I needed to. And I was just so afraid. So I got to that point where it was like, I can either change, or if I keep going, this isn't going to be good.
Mhm. How old were your kids at the time?
So they were a junior and senior in high school. And I
Oh, okay.
also knew that my time with them living at home was coming was coming closer
Mhm.
to them leaving. And I knew that I needed to do something about it then. And
Mhm.
that was a really crucial time to start showing up and at least show them that I'm still there for them. So when they go away to school, they won't have to worry about me. And kind of savaged my relationship with them, which hadn't really been, destroyed or anything like that.
Mhm.
But their trust in me was starting to go away. I could see
Mhm.
that fading and seeing the look in their eyes after a night of going out and what was happening between us wasn't as strong as I knew it could be.
Mhm.
And so that day that I really decided that I was done, this was going to end today.
Mhm.
I went to see a therapist because
Okay.
that felt safe. You know,
Mhm.
we're so when we quit drinking, we're so fragile and we're
Mhm.
so scared of what this going to entail. We think, our life is going to be over if we do this. So I sought out a therapist. He recommended some AA meetings. So I found some women's meetings, and then I also, which were fantastic. I think they're great. That's a great avenue. That's a great pathway to finding freedom. And then I also um, formed my own group. And that's
Okay.
how I created the Happiest Hour. Is I reached out to some friends who were really struggling, and we had all kind of, at one point complained to one another that, God, I really would love to stop drinking. Oh my gosh, me too. And, that really just opened up a whole can of worms into creating a group where we could all just support one another. And it was really transformational to see
Hmm.
that we were connecting people. The more open and honest that we became, the more open and honest everyone else became.
Mm.
And it's been just really, really life changing.
So did the group start off just with friends that in your town in person, or how did that begin?
Yeah, they were just all friends from the neighborhood. They were
Mm.
actually even some of the girls I had even drank with
Yeah.
at parties or at there's a beach club here that a lot of us are members of, and I could see that some of them were struggling too. And they had said something to me. It wasn't like I was just like pulling them aside and be like, I think you have a problem.
Right.
It was they
Mm.
had mentioned something. We had all kind of commiserated together, and those who wanted it, it was there, and they took advantage of it, and they're doing phenomenal.
That's very cool because I don't you don't hear like I'm like probably hardly anyone around me does not drink. But you do hear that community is such a big thing, and I think that's awesome that you were able to do it with people that
Yeah.
you're close
Yeah.
with. I think that's pretty, in my
Yeah.
opinion, unusual, but that's cool.
Thank
Very nice.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, we continued to grow over the 3 year, well, it was about 2.5, um, by the time I started my own business doing that, but it had been growing, and it was
Mm.
amazing that the amount of by word of mouth.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have advertised it a little bit because I was getting a little more bold in sharing the
Uh-huh.
experience that we were all having, because it was so great what was going on, and I just wanted to share it. But everybody really just wanted to keep it private, and that was
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, I get you. And so I assume you can keep continued to work and as you developed this program or had this community going, and then you quit and then started this full time, or how is that going right now?
So it's going really well. Officially launched the business part of it 3 months ago,
Oh, cool.
and it's been great. I've already have in 3 months 6 new members,
Mm.
and I'll take that as a really big win. I mean,
Yeah.
just helping one person on this journey it makes it all worth
Mhm.
it. And yeah, I think we're going to start growing more in January, and also just getting the word out. I've spent a lot of time trying to get the word out that this is an option and
Mhm.
that it's available. I think it's a really great option or add on to any other program you might be doing. I have found in AA, inside and outside of the rooms, and I think AA is a phenomenal program, and I highly recommend that to some of the girls that I work with, but also that sometimes we want a little more, or we want something
Mhm.
different, or we want to
Mhm.
like a little add-on option. And so with my groups, it gives you that little bit of something more that you might want, like habit changes and setting goals and self-love and just a community of like-minded women to support one
Mhm.
another. Friendships, it's open, we share openly. This is not a no cross-talking room. We also share things that are going on in our lives, not just alcohol, but at the end of the day, this is really all based around the fact that we're alcohol
Mhm.
free and we're so happy and our kids are happier, our spouses are happier, in general, everyone's lives have, become so much more fulfilled.
Mhm.
And but I'm hoping, that I just keep spreading the word and putting one
Mhm.
foot in front of the other that
Yeah.
happiest hour will be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Would you talk a little bit more about how your relationship with your kids and your spouse has changed?
Yeah, it's definitely better. My husband and I, we, for the most part, we always had a good relationship. We weren't, we drank together a lot, really, to connect. So
Mhm.
we just had to make it a priority to connect in other ways.
Yeah.
We started playing pickleball. We started doing
Yeah.
other things that didn't involve just, going out and having drinks or sitting in the backyard. And we just had to find other activities to get away from that routine
Mhm.
and that habit of drinking together.
Mhm.
And it definitely improved our relationship a lot because it's so real. Now it's real connection. This isn't connecting over
Mhm.
a couple
A burns.
drinks and
Yeah.
lowered inhibitions. This is a real connection. I think we laugh so much more now than we ever did.
Mhm.
And it's real laughter. And
Yeah.
so with the kids, it's great. The kids they're so proud of me and the changes that I've made, and we talk. Even though they're away at college, they still
Mm.
call me every day.
Aw.
I can't say that that would still be going on if I was still drinking because
Okay.
they might call and not know what version of me they were getting. Were they getting, the week I wasn't drinking, or were they getting me after I've had a couple drinks and I'm ready to get chatty? So the fact that they can call me at any time in college and know that what they're getting the real me.
Mhm. I love that. Did your Has your husband stopped drinking, or how has that played a role in the relationship?
So my husband did stop for a little bit when I stopped drinking. He said, I'm going to take a little break too. He's in the beverage industry. So a lot of what he sells is alcohol. He does drink
Mm.
occasionally with clients, but, he's more of a take it or leave it, which I was not.
Mhm. Mhm.
And, it's funny being married to someone in that industry because
Mhm.
I am around it all the time. I'm
Mhm.
around alcohol more than probably most bartenders, let's say. No, I'm just kidding.
Ugh,
But
and
I'm around alcohol a lot. And the fact that I continue to show up to events and choose not to drink and
Mhm.
host parties and
Yeah.
entertain and just putting my sobriety first, because without me being sober, I can't be the best, you
Yeah.
know, at any of these things. I can't be the best mom, wife, sister, friend.
Mhm.
And it took getting sober to realize that, because when we're in it, it's so hard to see that.
But is there anything that you are kind of surprised by and like, "Oh, wow, this is so much better because I quit drinking?"
I think that this process has been just full of all these little surprises.
Mhm.
And when I first quit drinking, I kept getting like these little confirmations, and like they say, like
Mhm.
you're flexing your sobriety muscles. So it was like every time I went to a party and had a good time, or I went to dinner with a friend and we had a deep conversation, or me and the kids or my husband, like, we're cracking up laughing about something, like, all these little tiny confirmations all started to build into what feels like such freedom today, and that in these like little God winks,
Oh,
like this is
yeah.
okay. This is good. This
Yeah.
far exceeds what was going on when I was drinking. And as
Mhm.
difficult as it can be sometimes, we get caught up in romanticizing or am I missing out? And just knowing that as difficult as it was way harder when I was drinking. Recovering, feeling like crap, beating myself up, doing the same thing over and over was just exhausting. Whereas this is freedom. I don't worry about any of those things anymore. And it just left so much more space for me to do things that are enjoyable and have meaning.
Do you get like cravings or urges, temptations anymore?
No, not at
Oh.
all. And I think that's thanks to all the tools that
Mhm.
I have and just seeing the truth and, being on this journey, I've learned so much that I mean, there may be times where I'll walk by a cafe or a restaurant and everyone's sipping their wine and but I also recognize that that's not my reality. That's nice for about an hour or 2.
Yeah,
And then
right.
all that goes away. The cost of it became too high.
When you mentioned tools, would you say you got most of those as you were quitting or during your coaching certification?
I think the tools that I've learned on this in this process really came from a lot of places. It didn't come from one thing. In the
Mhm.
beginning, I not only saw a therapist, but,
Mhm.
meeting people in the rooms and books. I read a lot of books on, what they call it, Quit Lit. I read a lot
Mhm.
of Quit Lit and Sober Instagram. I think Sober Instagram is
Yeah,
phenomenal. There is so
agree.
much good information, positive stories, motivation, feeling not alone. I think sober Instagram is a incredible way to look at your if you're questioning your relationship and you start scrolling through all these people who have found freedom and they're living their lives so fully and people are happy and people look good. I mean, you see
Yeah.
my before and
Yeah.
afters and you're like, that was from drinking?
Right. Yeah, and I think that's just a good tool if you get an urge or whatever, just to go through there and you're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm so much
Yeah,
better off,"
I'm in check. Yeah, it's a good little
Yeah.
check yourself.
Yeah, that's a good way to
And
put it.
journaling is great. There's so many tools there. Journaling, writing down not just like bad things, but good things. Those are good
Mhm.
reminders to look back on and walking meditations, and just kind of getting in touch with your thoughts that also, can bring you back to your why. Because
Mhm.
it's always gonna circle back to your why. Anytime you have
Mhm.
a craving or you think you can handle this again after a little break, look at why you stopped.
People find you. I assume
So people can
online?
find me on, you can go to I have a website, which is
Mm.
www.happiesthouraf.com, or you can, probably the easiest way to contact me is on Instagram at happiest_hour AF. Um, I have a TikTok account, the same thing, but the TikTok's really just more for fun, and I try to really show the lighter side of sobriety and how much we're living because we
Mm.
really, we were just surviving before. We weren't thriving like we are now in sobriety, and how much lighter we feel and how much freedom there is. And this is amazing. This is not something to be afraid of, or that this is a sentence that your life is over. It's really your life is just beginning.
If today's episode hit home, you're not alone and you're not broken. You're waking up. If you're ready for more honesty, more clarity, and more real talk, make sure to follow, share, or leave a review. And if no one told you today, you're powerful AF. Catch you next time on Alcohol Free Superpowers.